I'm going to go for the one. Apparently, I'm getting quite obvious with my picks. I think you said that Scouted Lou guessed that I was going to go for this player, and it's Akinkunmi Amoo, the 18-year-old Nigerian wide player who currently plays in Sweden for Hammarby. Um, some of you who are listening to this will have already seen the clips that are starting to emerge on social media of Amu, and I think it's safe to say that you're going to see a lot more clips emerging of him in play. There was one in particular, I forget who posted it, but it was from a match this season, and you could hear the commentators in the background as Amu picks up the ball for Hammarby, and all you can hear is the colour commentator, the second commentator. His mic is still open, and he's just giggling as Amu gets the ball because of the things that he's doing in possession. There's little tricks and flicks to get the ball away from defenders. He's feinting on one side, putting the ball on the other side of defenders, and then I think in that sequence he eventually tries a shot at goal that curls towards the far post and just misses. I think that kind of encapsulates, if you're going to take one clip of a player and encapsulate what you get from that player, I think that is Amu in a nutshell. He is a creative force. He's not somebody who does the conventional thing. I don't think he's quite diminutive, quite small. I think he comes in, he's listed in transfer market, I think about 163 centimetres, which I think is about 5'3", if I remember correctly. I'm never great with the conversion of heights from centimetres to feet. But he's somebody who, when he picks the ball up, he's very slight, and you look at him and think he's just going to get knocked off the ball. But his body control and his body orientation is so good that defenders don't even make contact when they're trying to. So often he does that little feint, the fake move to go one way before just gliding the other way. But he does it so smoothly that the defenders are left completely unbalanced. I think that there was some talk last season. He only moved to Hammarby in June last year, in 2020. And there was a lot of talk that we would see a lot of him last season for Hammarby, and it never really materialised. I don't know how much of that was him trying to acclimatise to football and life in Sweden. I mean, you don't get much different climate-wise from moving from Nigeria to Sweden, so there will be a little bit of a period where he has to get used to life before he can get used to football. But certainly this season for Hammarby, I think we're going to see a lot more of it. So far in the Allsvenskan, they've played 3 games. They haven't started well. They've already lost to Malmo and ALK, and they have managed to beat Mjällby. But Amu has been one of the key players. He's played, I think, the vast majority of minutes so far. And already we're seeing his style of play come out. We're seeing the dribble volume. We're seeing the attacking threat and the intricate link-up play that he's capable of when the ball moves into that area. I think that there are still areas of his game where he's going to have to develop. If we talk about, I mean, it's still early, but if we talk about next steps away from Swedish football, then you're kind of looking at the next step up in terms of competition in a league. So, what Holland, Belgium, lower tier, Liga, Bundesliga, the lower sides of those leagues, and you're looking at a player who really has to develop the defensive side of his game. I mean, yes, he's creative, yes, he's great in possession, but sometimes out of possession, he can be played around a little bit too easily, and he does have the athletic ability to press really well, but he still doesn't always take the correct line of approach when he's pressing. But all of these things, all of these apparent negatives are so difficult to place because he is just an 18-year-old. He's an 18-year-old who's only been in European football since June last year, so you don't know how much tactical and technical training he's had at this point and how much of it has just been natural talent. So I think that we'll see those things develop at Hammarby. They're a club who you would expect to be kind of mid-table, upper mid-table in Allsvenskan this season, I think. And I think that Amu will get a lot of playing time and a lot of time to develop there.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of interest, and I'm not talking from clubs necessarily, but a lot of interest in just from people watching the Allsvenskan, in Amu this season, because it is purely about that dribble volume. As you say, he's just such an exciting player, and as you said, he's around 5'3", 5'4", so not your average height for a professional footballer, but he still manages to mix it. And I think the fact that he signed from, I think it was Sido's FC, it's listed on Transfermarkt in Nigeria, in June 2020. The fact that he's been in European football for all of 9 months, and the fact that he is potentially going to be one of the more exciting players in the Allsvenskan this season, it always gets me that, I think we perhaps neglect the individual quality that is often in African football, that they can come in the Allsvenskan is a prestigious league, let's not forget, and they can really, really have an impact on games already, and we've seen how much of an impact he's already had. This is why that squads at Youth International World Cup tournaments and sort of under 17, under 20 World Cups from Africa, sort of like Nigeria's in 2019 at the under 17 World Cup, which Amoo was a part of. This is why those squads are so highly rated going
Yeah.
into the tournaments, because there are so many sort of untapped. There's so much untapped potential in there, because I think we've discussed this. I've discussed this with others on this podcast, but there is so much potential in Africa which simply does not have a lens on it. And yeah, Amoo is such an exciting player to watch, and the commentary that you mentioned, where the commentator just starts giggling, it is really funny, because you could imagine that no matter at what level or sort of the prestige of whatever TV channel the game is being broadcast on, you could imagine the commentator, whether it would be Martin Tyler or whoever's covering the Allsvenskan, they would just laugh, because it's one of those things where you think, this defender's got no chance. He's literally just moving through the gears, and just seems to be gliding through. And as you said, there are a few tweaks that perhaps need to be made to his game. But A, he's 18. B, they all sound very coachable as well,
Yeah.
which is probably one of the more important things. That he's coming into Swedish football, and naturally he's going to be getting a good coaching education with Hammarby. So yeah, I think it's a reflection of the scouting team at Hammarby, that they've been able to identify a player who's probably going to go into the top 20-25% of players in that league.